I can determine which method proves triangles are congruent by marking my picture. So, what you need to know, now we're putting everything together, this is the last piece that we need to put together. To prove triangles are congruent, I need to prove that 3 pairs of sides or angles are congruent. Now, there are 5 methods that work, and there are 2 methods that do not work. And there's one exception that's in there. So basically, there are different combinations of 3 S's and A's, 3 sides and angles. SSS works. So if you have 3 pairs of sides congruent, that works. SAS works. We'll talk about what that means shortly. ASA works. AAS works. What does not work is S and A. Now, there is one exception where ASS works, and we call it HL, which stands for hypotenuse leg. And it only works in a right triangle. So I'm going to explain to you what all these things mean. But what you need to understand is that everything works except for S and A. Any combination of 3 S's and A's work except for S and A. However, S does work if it's a right triangle, but the reason is not going to be S, it's not going to be ASS, it's going to be HL. What am I talking about? So we're going to skip ahead to the back of the sheet. We're going to skip ahead to number 6. So the first question you have to ask yourself is how many angles are involved, how many sides are involved. I have 2 angles marked and 1 side. Now here's the big question. Is the side that's marked the side that's between the 2 angles? Well, let's number my sides. Let's number them 1, 2, and 3. If these are my 2 angles, which side is the side that's in between those 2 angles? This one is. Is that the side that's marked? No. So the side is not between the 2 angles, so the S is not between the 2 A's. This would be an example of AAS. There's 2 angles in one side, and the side that's marked is not the side that's between the 2 angles. This is the side that's between the 2 angles. That's not marked. Now 7, again, I have 2 angles and 1 side. Let's give them numbers again, 1, 2, and 3. Which side is the side that's between those 2 angles? This one. Is that the side that's marked? Yes. So since the side is in between the 2 angles, the S is in between the 2 A's. So the difference between AAS and ASA, they both have 2 angles and 1 side. For ASA, the side that's marked is the one that's between the 2 angles. For AAS, the side that's marked is not in between the 2 angles. We're going to skip 8 for now. Let's go to 9. I have 2 sides marked. I have 1 angle marked. Is the angle that's marked the angle that's between the 2 sides? Well, let's number the angles. Which angle is between those 2 sides? 2 is. Is that the angle that's marked? Yes. So the A goes between the 2 S's. And SAS would be my answer. Let's jump back to number 8. I have 2 sides marked. I have 1 angle. Which angle is the angle that's in between these 2 sides? Well, this one is. Is that the angle that's marked? No. So the angle is not between the 2 sides, which makes it S, which we said doesn't work unless it's a right triangle. Is it a right triangle? Yes. The reason is not ASS, though. The reason is HL, which stands for hypotenuse leg. And basically, if I have a hypotenuse marked and I have a leg marked in a right triangle, that's what hypotenuse leg means. Number 10 is actually pretty simple. How many sides are marked? How many angles are marked? There are 3 sides marked. So it's just side, side, side. Not really a lot of thinking about that. That would be your answer. So that's basically it. Let's just jump to one of the ones on the front. Number 1, angle D is congruent to angle R. So I'm going to mark that angle D is congruent to angle R. Angle E is congruent to angle A. So I'm going to mark that they're congruent. EL is congruent to AY. So just look at one of the triangles. So I'm going to cross this one out so my eyes can focus on just one of them. How many sides are marked? How many angles are marked? 2 angles, 1 side. Is the side that's marked the side that's between the 2 angles? No, this is the side that's between the 2 angles. So since the side is not between the 2 angles, the A is not between the 2 S's, and that would be AS. So that's the gist of it. You have to mark your picture, and from there, determine how many angles are marked, determine how many sides are marked, and determine if the one is in between the other 2. Your classwork/homework is to finish this, and this is the last lesson before we can finally actually do a triangle proof and put everything together. Have a great day.